What's up, y'all? It's your boy Aniki. Actually, let me stop talking and make sure the stream came through. There's no audio issue, so I'm gonna have to listen to myself because last week audio was tripping, but hopefully it isn't this week. And we can just start the show and everybody's doing well. Let's see. Let's see. All right, perfect. Audio coming through nice. Let me see how y'all doing today. How are my people? My people. How y'all doing today? Let me go ahead and get everything set up properly. Go ahead and get this posted in the Discord because you know we don't have to get the people involved. Uh, that's just how we be. We left off on a short chapter. Seems like Horikoshi did not heed the advice to take a break, but hopefully, this was solely the Golden Week causing the chapter to be shorter and not any of his health issues that have been ongoing. Because we do have an established precedent of the Golden Week chapters being a little short due to Golden Week with what was it? The Culture Festival concert chapter. I don't know if you guys remember that one came out a little unfinished, and that was because of Golden Week. So hopefully this one is going to be a bit, complete. I'm not going to have to feel bad about it and feel like, man, they got Horikoshi working overtime. Live. Yeah, right. There we go. We get sitting now. 338 people. All right. So, okay. Y'all being silly in the chat, I see. Miss Lady. You know what? I like starting the chapter right away just because sometimes people, every now and then, somebody will be like coming in and they'll just be like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but I didn't read that part yet. I don't know what you said. It's very rare because sometimes, usually when I read the chapter, I just don't check the chat or I'll like pop in. But let's get this started. Let me just start the chapter. I just want to start diving in. 389. Get this Choco color page with Toga as she's busting out of her twice transformation. So we're gonna actually get the fight between the two of them this chapter. Who knows? This could just be Horikoshi loving that specific, he loves to do his single issue comic formats. But the way I look at it is, if we're gonna get this, if we are getting a Toga-centered chapter, it's gonna reveal a lot more about her personhood and be less about, fighting niggas. But we're gonna see. I shouldn't have said that early in the stream. Now I'm gonna get demonetized. Come on, YouTube, only make like 30 cents. You gotta do me like that. What is me? There we go. Had to get one of those little pop-up menus to go away. All right, I gotta make sure I pop back in the chat just because I'm reading on the Viz site, and sometimes they be cutting pages for me. All right, so we open up with what looks to be a growing explosion, but that could just be the heat nexus that we've been seeing depicted the entire time. The rapid rise in temperature at the epicenter is slowing down. Running the numbers again, now it's looking like, wait, no, the temp's dropping. The explosion's inevitable. All right, we see everybody is still burning, but they're putting up their ice walls. Yep. Like we talked about last week, everyone's watching me. So this is what it's like. And we see Endeavor is still burning. Looks like pieces of his face are charring. If it was so simple a thing, then why? Then as things are burning, everyone retreat. Get yourselves out of the blast zone. Why not sooner? Yep. So I do like this change in that to a certain degree, instead of Toya being like, oh, cool, they finally paid attention to me, I'm just going to completely cool down. We're getting the hard question, which is, yes, there's a catharsis in finally having your family focus on you and support you or pay attention to you. But you get that option now where you get to address and say, why on earth could you guys not just do this sooner? Also, I'm apologize because my eyes look a little weird. I have intense allergies, so they look goofy as hell with the swelling. So that throws you off. Don't worry, I'm not doing crack, and I didn't get to a fight. Just fighting allergies. All right, so why not sooner? Quick, no time to lose. Move those legs, kendo. So we see Tetsu and Kendo moving together as usual. It's okay, children. We'll all be fine. We'll all be just fine. And we see the kids, man who's dubbed him Five Weenies, the kid who looked up to Bakugo, which it's interesting that the kid, Horikoshi was nice to these kids actually, because he could have had them experience the live stream and the live stream include the damage that occurred to Bakugo. And that probably would have had them doing all kinds of crying, throwing up. And he decided to spare them that of potential emotional trauma. Look at that. Horikoshi looking out for the youth. Yeah, the binging balls kid was looking at that. We got the camera still, them flying above the epicenter. Endeavor's just watch me. Oh man. Can't you see Kun coming back and hitting them prayers? Ooh, wee. Let's see. Welcome. Yes, light on welcome on. And okay, so we're in the Philippines, and you got people, which the Philippines actually has a budding Christian nation. So choosing them for a chapter named Prayers of Condolences for this is kind of fascinating. Yeah, for sure. Because after all that, yo, is that what I think it is? Ain't no fucking way. Let me stop. YouTube don't be on me. Like demonetized. I'm glad to see that Shoto put in some more work. But if I'm not mistaken, this man has formed a jet for Ida made out of ice. And the kid says, yeah. And as the jet breaks apart, they arrive on the scene. And he's announced as, we've got 5 wieners on our side. Not 1 wiener, not 2 wieners, not 3 weenies, not 4, but 5 weenies. Which I think he actually moved his canister up to 9 canister count up to 9 weenies. Uh, um, I have no idea if there's supposed to be a welcome to the Philippines sign that's actually canon. I know that the US has signs that say like welcome to this city or whatever outside of city limits, but I don't know. I think that was just his way of saying like, hey, this is where I'm supposed to be showing right now. But yeah. All right. Anyway, though, let me go ahead and get the people invited. I didn't need that. Oh, did I hit that button? Got it. Now, what I like about this is that this is like this conflict, as we'll call it, is really going to come down to who wants it more. You know what I mean? From the standpoint of you have a group of people that obviously Natsuo and Fuyumi and Ray are all just trying to survive being at this epicenter. And then you have Shoto, Endeavor, and Dabi, who are all trained combatants dealing with this. And while the temperature is dropping briefly, as we talked about, Shoto arriving here is basically going to be a heavy catalyst for Yeah. This is why you guys couldn't do it sooner. Because you were too busy focusing on this guy. You were too busy making him the epicenter of your lives and focusing on him. Is the girl from with the white hair in the Philippines supposed to be someone from Ray's family? I mean, their clan was scattered around, according to Gaten. That's possible. I don't know if that's the intent or not, so I won't speak on that necessarily. But it's definitely not something I would put past Horikoshi. It's just something that I think. Oh, look at that poster. It fell over. See it in the background of the video now. Say no. Uh, the but she might be. Yeah, she really might be. But she's designed to look similar to Ray, and it's one of those cases where it could be like Bakugo and the second user, where there's no relation, but they look similar. It could be something more than that, because if you notice, she kind of looks like a blend between Ray and the newscaster. Just kind of maybe, like a visual way to convey the overall idea of like people are wishing for the best in this scenario, even those who have expressed that grief or outrage towards Endeavor. Um, and that's kind of a healthy way to go about showing that. What's up, Thomas? Thanks for thinking, saying that you're in here.
I am indeed.
How'd you feel about this chapter, Thomas?
It's very, very short.
Yeah.
Like I said in the chat that I feel like this was just part 2 of last chapter, and Hori just halved it and pushed it forward for Golden Reek. But at the same time, I can also see in this be just not him burnt out, but just like a consequence of how much work he has been doing.
Yep. Like it ain't easy being cheesy type beat.
I mean, the art is gorgeous. Like it doesn't seem like there's been a step down in quality. So I would like to assume that he just, this is just the second half.
Yeah, that's something that I've noticed he's kind of reliably done now, is that he refuses to lower it seems like he refuses to lower the quality of the art in exchange for making page count now. Like it seems like he's like, no, if I gotta add extra chapters, I gotta add extra chapters, so be it. But I'm gonna make sure that the art I want to create and the visuals I'm trying to draw are in line with what I want to portray.
That reminds me of the interview he had with Kubo in the it was in the Ultra Impact. Not Ultra Impact, what was it called? Ultra Analysis, where he was like, I don't know if you had it so you could check it up for me, but he said something along the lines of he wants to make sure his art is really dense compared to like, yeah, you have it there. Perfect. I was rereading
your point off, and I'll see if I can find it real quick.
If I remember correctly, he said he wants his art to be dense to compete with everyone else because he doesn't feel like he's a good author so far. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I read it. It's towards the end, before the Twitter art.
Let's see.
Also, I hope everyone in the chat has been having a great day.
Could you talk about your impressions of each other's work? Let's see. I'm always impressed by the sheer amount of art he manages to cram into a weekly release. The biggest difference between our respective series is the density of our backgrounds. Horikoshi, but your characters can just stand there all on their own and have this striking presence. I don't think my own style is capable of that. So I end up filling every nook and cranny of those backgrounds, almost like I'm thinking, I'll compete by making my drawings dense.
Yeah, that's it.
And the Kubo says, I think MHA's characters can also stand on their own and qualify as art. One part that really left an impression was that the abandoned factory area full of pipes during let's see.
Was it hate Tanisha?
Hold on. Let's see that. That's weird. It seems to just play.
That could very much be the case as well, Tyler, that he split it up because of the number counts, because next chapter is 390.
What did you hold on? Let's see if this is formatted left to right randomly. Yep, there we go. Okay, so yeah, this one is formatted weird as hell, but okay.
Because I thought the same thing. I think it goes backwards. Like, so you read right to left.
So you read this like from here to here and then move over here. So it's like left to right.
Yeah.
So
I thought the exact same thing because I was reading on the way home from Dublin a while because I brought it up with me and I was like, this is still confusing.
Yeah. All right, cool. During the class versus class
so.
battles, that was nuts. As I read those chapters, I was thinking I could never pull this off. Every week during that arc, my assistants would come to me and ask, when is it going to end? And he laughs. I needed an environment where every character could shine in their own way, so I wound up with that. Kubo, if it were me, I'd 100% come up with a solution that involves 0 pipes. Horikoshi, but I'm jealous of your design sense and the strength of your art since it means you don't have to rely on window dressing like that. I bet the other mangaka feel the same way, like you're this living embodiment of style. Kubo, I think it's like there's a part of me that only draws scenes to get certain dialogue.
Hey, Joseph.
And I only draw manga at all in order to make those scenes happen. Horikoshi, that makes sense. Kubo, sometimes I create characters and dialogue simultaneously when I want to use a particular line of dialogue. I think about what sort of character would be the most likely speaker of said line. Then I create a situation where it makes sense for that character to say that line, and voila, I've got a scene. Interesting. We take completely different approaches, says Horikoshi. Do you ever have specific lines that you need just need someone to say? Horikoshi, yes. When I think about future plot developments, I know there are some lines that would be just so darn cool to have someone say. So I guess I do often come up with character moments and situations that way. Not so different after all, then. So yeah, he deliberately makes his drawings dense, which in turn will create some, issues for him. But I mean, even here you see it, right? The rapid rise in temperature. They could have just had one computer screen focused on just the epicenter, but instead you have that. You can kind of see what looks like it's possibly the scenes at other sites. Because that actually might be Camino based on the amount of ice and stuff. And you have other windows conveying stuff. Like you can see that he's taking the time to include other city stuff. Which also temp's not dropping is what it said. My bad.
No, you're fine.
Let's see.
I skipped over not as well. Also, aside from Hey Joseph,
hi.
Someone in the chat said, asked like how fast is Ida running? Would it be fair to assume speed of sound, or do you think he's above that?
Oh, he's above that. So let me see if I can find it. One of the things that Horikoshi is pretty consistent about is when he gives somebody a sonic boom, it's because he actually means that they're supposed to be above the speed of sound. He actually does that during Endeavor Agency is one of the first time he actually like makes a point to emphasize it. Let's see if I can.
How are you, Joseph?
I'm all right. I had a pretty long week.
I saw the updates you put in general. I hope everything ended up fine.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
So is that the same interview where he said he didn't want to make it to 50 volumes, or am I thinking of a different one? Maybe
I think that's a different one. Because they had like 2 interviews, right? One there and then another.
I think it might have been the one with Oda.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I actually think it is with Oda. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw an extra wrench into this discussion and say that might have been the one with Kishimoto.
Maybe.
And the reason why I think it's the one with Kishimoto is because I remember the interview with Kishimoto being the one where he goes, if you think about the chapter length of something, you should double it because it's probably going to be longer than you anticipated. And so that's when Horikoshi reveals that he meant to have Sports Festival only be like 10 chapters long.
Let me see here. I think I have the interview saved. I just need to find it.
What the hell? Volume 25 and 26 is go MHA. How I feel about that one.
Where is it? Oh yeah, so Kishimoto says that that's his important feeling and tells Horikoshi that he shouldn't want to write manga like One Piece and Naruto. He should want to beat them. He says One Piece is a big wall to beat, but he's going to tell Oda about Horikoshi. Horikoshi jokes Kishimoto is being scary and end, which is basically just a synopsis of it. So yeah, it definitely should be that interview.
All right, so I found out that my Endeavor Agency art volumes are MIA.
Oh, you may have to get a new one.
Don't say that because I'll quickly go be like, well, I guess I'm Barnes and Noble. Gorge.
That's some of my my volumes got destroyed by water. So I had to rebuy a lot of them.
That's pain.
Very much pain.
But yeah. All right. Well, guess I'll just have to tell you guys which chapter that's in. Let me pull up that good old list real quick. Shonen Jump. Because it was, I believe, in the early sections during the fight with what's his name, the glass dude.
Oh, Star Servant.
Yeah. Let me see, 248 maybe.
Is Ida approaching foul 100% speed now? No. God, no.
I mean, just it is cool to see him like get that jetpack, but no, I don't think he's supposed to be around foul 100%. I mean, you know what? I won't even say absolutely not, only because if he's done another engine yank, he could be pretty high up there.
Oh, for sure.
I just don't want to. I don't want to oversell it, but I don't want to undersell him either.
I could see Ida moving at speeds equivalent to like All Might during the final exams and All Might on his way to Kamino.
Because we know he's supposed to be faster than Gran Torino, and Gran Torino was able to keep up with All Might. So, I mean, yeah, not a full expert, All Might, but still able to keep up with them. So,
yes,
I want to give him some credit there. Let's see.
It is interesting that Horikoshi had to the Philippines out of all locations. It really just goes to show that he is trying to pay attention, or at least have us pay attention to the entire world, aside from just America.
Well, if you're gonna say that he's becoming the greatest hero in the world, right? Like you can't just let it be something that impacts Japan. It has to be something like All Might got his greatest hero in the world status by going to America and slum it in the hood, right? Like fighting the most gangsters he could come across and getting things popping there. So if we're gonna say, Deku has become the world's greatest hero, the world has to be impressed by him. So I like that they're keeping it consistent, at least, or acknowledging like this is the scale he's gonna have to be moving at and the scale of threat. Because like it's one thing to say he's gonna be a threat to on like the global scale, but if
this is building upon the Small World chapter where it's being live streamed worldwide, so like literally the entire world is watching this. You gotta factor time zone, so maybe not in America, but
hey, somebody woke up because their phone went off and it was like
viral thing.
Oh my goodness, that little girl. Out of curiosity, can you guys hear my daughter shitting her pants?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, we can't.
That shit was loud. I'm like, bro.
Speaking of a sonic boom.
So, chapter 244, page 1. Deku straight up says he was off and running before we even heard the sonic boom. That goes beyond just speed. So like right there, he was gone, like standing in front of them, and then all of a sudden, boom. So we know that he's willing to give people like sonic booms, acknowledge characters going above the speed of sound, etc. Which means Endeavor's jacket was burning and tearing for more than just that. But because that's the scene where he immediately like just hops over the rail and just starts going. But
I
yeah,
love that tofu.
I don't know if Ida is supposed to be as fast as Endeavor, but probably.
I can see that. I mean, then again, this is just like in that like chapter, it's just Endeavor chasing after just a normal criminal.
But he's
So
going
it really just shows how fast Endeavor can be.
like, man, just immediately was like, "Yep, let me go." Which, I mean, ultimately, if you remember what they said, the goal is to be as fast as possible in solving your crimes, not wasting any time. Oh, there it is. The automatopoeia that was used for Endeavor steps was boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he uses that for a couple of other ones, but I'm a little not in the mood to try to comb the entire manga for his automatopoeia selection. Just because it's going to be a lot.
Save that for like a future video.
Like, so, but yeah, the idea that he's just going out of his way to, emphasize when people are going that fast.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the extra detail. Let's see.
Also,
he's nothing if not detailed oriented, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. Details out the wazoo. But yeah, according to Geo, she mentioned in the Discord when like with the Dabi content, he says in the Spanish, everyone is looking at me. Was this what I had to do? If I knew that I had to do something this easy, I would have done it earlier. He does not give a flip.
It's like
just call him Honey Badger because Honey Badger don't care.
Mm-hmm.
because Seth posted the thing. Let me pull up Seth because Seth's got a pretty solid, like, when he does translations or stuff, at least it doesn't seem to, it's not one of those agenda piece type things where it's
Not
just
based
him
on
saying-
shipment, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not a bunch of stuff like that. Let's see. See if I can. What the hell? Where is that? I'm trying to go to this specific tweet. Twitter, give it to me. I'll just take me to Steph's page. There we go. Okay, there you go. Tweet from an account. Let's see. There's no verb in the sentence making it somewhat tricky, but it seems clear to me Dabi's talking about how I should have done this, go boom sooner, but why didn't his family do this? Look at him sooner. Okay, so yeah, it all odds. I mean, it's the same thing here that we're getting from Caleb. Like everyone's watching me. If it was so simple a thing, then why not sooner? Like you guys could have always done this. It's all the same energy. Like I could have, like I can do this to get attention, but like I shouldn't have to. To a certain degree, it's interesting because we see Dabi as like losing his coherency, but in moments like this, like that core, and one of the things that my heroes always talked about is like that origin, that core of your being. Oh Lord, she really did blow up her diaper.
Oh.
That's my baby. Oh, I'm talking. It's on her hips. And she blew out that diaper.
Oh, so it's a total blowout then.
Yeah, mommy's got it.
No.
Oh, I can hold poopy butt. Let me just turn the camera off real quick.
Yeah.
People don't need to see poopy butt shame.
We can look at the chat in the meantime because Cameron Bailey said if Ida is beyond
Poopy
speed of
butt.
light, does that mean he's the fastest in the MHA verse? I don't think he's at speed of light anytime soon.
Poopy butt. Poopy butt. That's my little princess.
That would be
poopy
insane.
butt. Yeah, you princess poopy butt.
Also very possible, Tyler. Yes, like the stream.
Sorry, y'all. I'm playing with my daughter right now, waiting for her to get the bath ready for her.
You're fine.
She's my princess poopy butt. She looks so confused. Oh, he's so cute. My princess poopy butt.
I can't really blame her for being confused, considering what she's sitting in.
Oh, it's funny because babies will be taking a dump and their face will scrunch up and they'll be all and then as they're pooping, they'll be like, ooh, like that Shaq biting the wing face. She was making faces like that, like as the poop coming out, and then she'd be looking around like, now who did that? Who did that? It's like you just shit your pants. That's what you did. Like, yeah.
Trying to gaslight everyone and just thinking she wasn't the one to do it.
Oh god, there was one time my dog just did a loud fart and looked at me like I was the one that did it.
Like, homie was like, man, I don't know who was responsible for that, but it stank and it was powerful.
It me.
Who's that little baby? You this little baby. Little baby. Little baby.
Would y'all say Deku is closest to be alive? I would say that more so because with gear shift, the possibilities of him reaching speed of light is 100% possible. Considering we don't know much about it.
Yeah, all I can say is that his speed is technically without limit. If you factor in that he could infinitely stack gear shift, unless we get like with gear shift plus Fajin. There you go, poopy butt.
Gee, thanks.
He could technically stack indefinitely, right? Like, like if you store, 50 crunch like leg squats from 100% full calorie, could it possibly get you over the speed of light? And remember, we've already done the whole, if I want to be disingenuous and scale the way a lot of power scalers do, we've already got everybody over the speed of light.
Also, Deku has a top gear, but we don't know if they're because it like the way gear shift functions, it's like a car. But if you combine Fajin with gear shift, there's no reason why he can't break that top gear and go beyond it. Like he combined two quirks altogether, Fajin and Black Whip, to make this entirely new power. So it is possible he can be speed of light. Especially with like the multiple Detroit smashes that he landed on Shigaraki in an instant.
I want to address something that Tanisha Greer said, and then I'll come back to your question, Simo, for GR, just because they're both good questions.
Yeah.
So first off, Tanisha asked, is Dabi admitting that his entire shtick is an extended temper tantrum to get Endeavor's and his family's attention? So, technically, kind of. Now, I don't think he's fully done the work to realize how much of his worldview stems from I didn't get attention as a child. Like he hasn't done that work, right? He hasn't sat there, processed it, and been like, I'm carrying a psychological trauma from not being well attended to as a child, and it's causing me to lash out in ways that cause people harm, but it leads to people giving me attention and the respect I feel like I should have gotten as a child. He's not taken that psychological journey. If anything, he's saying like heroes neglect their own personal children, heroes cause harm to children, and therefore heroes are bad. It's in essence a form of projection. Now notice, heroes cause harm to children sounds like a very similar motive to Kotaro.
Yeah.
Who is, Shigaraki's dad, who Shigaraki carried that ideology forward. Shigaraki and Dabi, as much as they have like this, like I've said before, they've got that shonen rivalry relationship where they're like butting heads randomly and taking like, and Dabi like takes random pot shots and challenges them, and Shigaraki just kind of accepts them and is like, hey, if you got what it takes, do it, prove it. Like even if you think back to MVA, he was like, all right, go get your new recruit.
It's a real recognized real.
Like, go get it. You say you got it, go get it. And what up, Tarnish?
Hey, Tyler.
What's
So,
good? What's good?
and like I've said, Dabi and Shigaraki is my favorite rivalry in MHA. Like I've said it before, I'll say it again probably, but that's my favorite rivalry in the whole series. And we see that juxtaposition here where both of them are ultimately acting out onto the world what they feel is right because of their childhood traumas, because of the fact that they both ultimately feel like hero society has created a space where neglect of children is normalized.
Yeah, you want to know something too that I just thought about because you said that.
What's up?
The thing about the only difference between Dabi and Shigaraki, and to me, is that like something that's similar but different at the same time. Like we saw Tenko become Shigaraki. Like we saw what All For One did to him, how he groomed him, how he made him kill those thugs. Him killing those thugs can be seen as like him transitioning in the Shigaraki, like becoming that persona, like existing. We didn't see that with Dabi. We didn't really see him become Dabi. Like we saw the beginning of it with him praying at his altar, but we didn't see him like be on the street, like choosing to be a villain. Kind of would have liked to see that. We still can see that.
So what I'm going to say is we probably will get to see something like that because there's something I want to ask you about this chapter. I want to see if you guys notice this. Have you noticed that he's getting the Shigaraki treatment as far as his internal character work this chapter?
Yeah, I can see it.
What do you
Especially
mean?
in the final page of him where he says, if it was so simple a thing, then why?
Yes, Thomas. Yes. So if you remember, in the last chapter, what we got was Toya baby faced. Yeah, his arm was missing, but we got to see like him just looking normal. Here we see Toya still looking youthful in his face, but he's got the burn damage that we didn't see until almost Paranormal Liberation War, possibly like a little later.
It was post
with the way
that.
his stitches. With the way his stitches are lined up, but he still looks younger. And this is the same thing we noticed with the internal Tenko, where he was progressing in his development. They even have both of their eyes drawn with the lines around them, like the K lines typically were done in this chapter when he says everyone's watching me. It's just a continuation of like emphasizing the parallels that these are unhealed children.
I like that panel specifically of him saying everyone's watching me because he looked like that one Toga panel we got earlier this arc.
Oh, the I one?
Yeah, when she got upset that Deku gave her pretty much the same answer that Ochako did. She made those eyes like you're just like her, my mom and dad. That Dabi panel was very similar to that Toga panel. But, you know, I've always liked Dabi and Toga. Their little parallel. It's really like the big three, the trio of villains. Toga, Toya, Tomura.
Speaking of which, she got her own volume cover this week, which kind of completes the
that blew
trifecta.
my mind, bro. I didn't think she was gonna get that.
And we
she
did.
Really
it
got a
looks
volume
gorgeous.
cover. She really got a volume cover before Ochako. And it was more.
Hey, she's gonna get her own. Probably in like maybe next volume. No, probably 2 volumes. I could see it.
She's probably gonna have to share it with somebody.
Maybe.
I didn't even try to guess what the volume covers are gonna be because like every time I think it's something that it might be, I am wildly wrong.
I feel that the same way. I'm just hopeful. I kind of want her to get her own instead of like a color page, like this chapter.
And that I saw a tweet saying that might have been a reference or callback to the volume 27 cover with all the Twices going after Hawks. And this one had like a bunch of Toga Twices going after Ochako.
Maybe. Also, Tara, she mentioned how like one of the things that kind of separates Dabi and Shigaraki was his origin, at least the origin of Dabi. You could also say that Shigaraki got a father figure after the incident. Like he had someone to turn to because of All For One. Dabi never really had that.
He
Unless
had
you count like the
nobody.
entire League of Villains, but even then, I
Nah,
wouldn't.
yeah,
It's that-
nah. When he was on the streets, all that man had was Endeavor videos.
Mhm. Everything
Just-
Endeavor, an Endeavor fan
So-
page.
Because that's how he learned his moves, because he watched videos of him. So he was literally just on the streets, supposedly, like training in secret, trying to survive.
On his own, yeah.
Shigaraki had care. He was taken care of, I guess.
I'm
Just
curious
by
how
the worst villain ever, but yeah. What's
I'm
up,
cu-
Joseph?
I'm curious how Toya picked the name Dabi, because I know it comes from the word to mean cremate, but I'm just curious if there's like a reason why he picked that in particular.
Knowing Dabi, probably just him being like, "I'm gonna cremate my father."
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of disappointed that his quirk name like is just Blue Flame. Like in most material, they kind of just call it Blue Flame. I'm like, yo, his quirk should have just been called cremation.
Yeah,
Because then it would have been the overhaul situation where like his villain name is his quirk name.
and All for One too.
Well, the thing is that his quirk has still not been revealed. So I blame that more on the material just kind of being like,
Oh, we need one. We need one. We need one.
we need an answer.
Blue Flame. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure if I pull up the Ultra Analysis book, it's still going to say question marks.
Yeah,
I think it
it's
does. I think it was a more recent in Japan only supplemental material that has the Blue Flame. Like I know it hasn't been released officially in the United States yet, but there was a volume extra maybe volume 35, maybe volume 36, where Deku unveils Gear Shift. And the motion that he makes is just how he visualized it, because like it's called Gear Shift, so he pretends he's driving a car.
Yeah.
But he's never driven a car.
Yeah. So and I hope when that gets animated, the voice actors, they make like driving noises when he does it.
Yo.
Yeah.
I want to hear the gear shift, like
Yeah,
give me some, like, or show me like a gear shift like from a car, like visually in the background, like maybe with that signature green lightning color, but like have the gears outlined like that as they like float in the background. Something.
It's just the idea that like he does, like he's never driven a car, but he knows what a gear shift is, so he does that to help him visualize it. I think that's just really neat.
This Deku thing.
Well, we did we have that conversation about how at the start of the series Deku was like 14?
Yeah.
By the time he's in the Hero Academy, he's 15, but the Hero Course provisional license exam arc is in like August, and his birthday's in July, which means that his provisional license is the equivalent of him getting his driver's license test.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have not looked at the chapter yet in the officials. I didn't see the art, but so far that color page way better. I haven't even seen the scan version of the color page because I wanted to wait.
No,
But I'm loving all this Toga focus. Like I like Toga a lot.
You saw
got
her
a
once
volume
this
cover,
chapter.
color page, like
Well,
because Toga is the real outlier. Like Shigaraki, we could pretty much place where we see him ending up, here or there. Dabi, it's either here or there. Some people think he'll be frozen in ice. Others think, death. You could say something for them. But Toga is really just like, I literally have no clue what he's going to do with her character.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, it's like he's like dangling her over me like this. Like, am I going to do something? Am I? I don't know. But
I feel like
I kind of like
the
that he's getting the Todoroki stuff out the way first, though. I don't know. I feel like this is the thing we've been dealing with the longest out of everything. Like, besides Shigaraki and All for One, maybe, but they only got hinted at in USJ. But Endeavor and this whole Todoroki thing, this has been since the sports festival. So if it's the first one to wrap up, I wouldn't be mad.
There's at least as many pages on both subjects. But the thing about that is that the pages on the Shigaraki versus Deku conflict and the one for all and all for one conflict. Those are like hinted at as like checkpoints throughout different junctions of the series, whereas the Todoroki family, Endeavor Agency arc, Pro Hero arc, the conclusions of the war arc being the wrong way to put out a fire type beat. Like we've had straight up dedicated segments of the story, and not even just that, but like multiple arcs that are just kind of dedicated to the Todoroki family and making sure we explore them before we get to these massive checkpoints. And specifically making it a point to save Dabi's story, which to a certain degree, this is a fun thought exercise I want to have with you guys real quick. How would you have felt if we got the Toya reveal during My Villain Academia, but the hero still didn't know?
I don't know. I feel like the way Hori handled it was perfect.
Oh,
I feel like
but
if it would take away a lot more, even if we knew like deep down Dabi was Toya, Toya was Dabi. I feel like it just wouldn't have hit even harder if it was revealed to us in like properly in My Villain.
Yeah, this is kind of a cop out, but shit, if you were a really hardcore fan during that time, he did reveal it during NBA. When Jaten was like, yo, your body can't keep up with your flames. We had just got joint training with that flashback of Endeavor saying the same thing about Toya. So if you was really reading, it did get revealed in that arc.
true.
I mean more so like if it was
But
flat
if he
out
outright,
confirmed.
yeah, but if he outright said it, or if there was like internal monologue on Dabi's part, because
Yes.
somebody had like said this recently, but that Jaten and compressed conversation, like they've never really interacted with each other. So it makes me believe that like maybe he threw that Jaten stuff in there because there really was more plans for him in NBA that got cut short. Because Hori was kind of scared, you know what I'm saying? He was like, yeah, I got to go back to the heroes. So I do think some Dabi Jaten compressed content got cut, for sure.
I mean, I kind of agree with that because when you look at the conclusion of Dabi versus Gaten, Dabi straight up says, man, I was about to get fired up there. And he kind of feels cheated out of it. So I feel like there was Hori sliding in. Yeah, that we could have had more here, but I wanted to conclude it.
Because like if you think that the Jaten Himura stuff had a chance to get revealed during NBA, it's like how? Like would he just? There's no way he's gonna just say that, and then Dabi's not gonna interact with him, like you know, or have some type of pushback, like, oh, you're a Himura? Well, me too.
Oh, we cousins.
Yeah,
or have
it's
some
one
type
of
of
those things
hint.
that I wonder if, to a certain degree, if maybe Gaten suspected something was up. Like, why does he have an ice body then? And obviously, since they ran that genetic test, well, we know that apparently Dabi didn't tell anybody in the whole league.
He kept it to himself. There was no reason to, honestly. He needed them to look at them as his villain self.
Somebody falling asleep.
He was trying to earn street cred, you know what I'm saying?
Also,
That's what I'm
Shigaraki
saying,
never
like-
really mentioned anything about his past too. So like, why should he?
I'm pretty sure him and Dabi had a conversation like that one time. Because Shigaraki seems like the type to keep bringing that up. Like, yo, I still don't know your name, by the way. Like, who are you? And Dabi's like, who are you?
Yep, because Dabi was like, yeah, I'll tell you my name when it matters, and not a second sooner. He wasn't playing around. He was like, oh, y'all don't even know who I am. Chill out.
Yeah, I wonder how that dynamic would have been had Dabi actually like told them that. Like, I wonder if they would have like tried to prop him up, like, oh, this is the number 2 hero son on our side. Like, maybe that's what he didn't want. That's why he didn't say anything.
Which
No, he was doing things on his own time, and like he He was low key a theater kid. All right.
I mean, I would say you are wrong, but you're not wrong.
Dabi could have been a theater kid if he wasn't trying to be a jock. Like think about it. Man was like, and like, that's one of the things that I think is like a fundamental issue. And I don't think it's just for, like a Japanese exclusive things, but think about how many people get like sucked into the idea like, oh, I really want to be a professional athlete for a really long time in their life. Or even now, like with the rise of pro gaming, like maybe you want to be a pro gamer, maybe you want to be this, but it's like, statistically speaking, are you going to be able to hit that mark? And like Toya was one of those kids who like, he's like, what if that dude that was always playing, like talking to you about his high school football games, but he didn't play on the team either. So he was just like, yeah, I was pretty cold, but like, coach never put me in, blah, 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 like that kind of guy. Like that's kind of what Dabi is. Like he didn't get time on the off the bench, but he swears he was a star player. He's got the skills now as an adult, and we see that he's got that firepower. But ultimately, he was benched because of an injury, and because he was going to keep getting injured. It's kind of like if Derrick Rose. If Derrick Rose is like how when people talk about Derrick Rose, they're always like, oh, if he had stayed healthy, would he be in the GOAT conversation? He never stayed healthy, so he isn't in the GOAT conversation. Like it just is what it is. Like, look at you, sneaky baby. Can't tell there's a baby in my jacket. But yeah.
How long do you guys think not the Dabi, I could combine Dabi and Toga together? How long do you think we're gonna have until Toga and Uraraka actually gets focused on?
So I think what we get is the resolution to the big explosion. And while I think some of the explosion will be like muted or funneled, I think some of it's going to have backlash with that battlefield because, we keep getting these wide scale shots, right? Emphasizing that they're kind of close and you can see like the twice clones forming or whatever. And you see them on top of one of the pussycats, which you can tell you see this now. And it looks like Ochako's doing a good job of like throwing down with them. And she's located the Toga clone because we see the knife.
I mean, she decapitated one of the Trice clones with her wires.
Hey, look, you do what you gotta do. So,
Yes, sir.
You do what you gotta do.
Getting close. Look, Ochako Ben had that dog, and so
She was fucking up some Twice clones in that one double spread.
So she's making her move. I think we get some of the explosions. Some of the Spice clones, ironically enough, because there's so many of them, end up eating a lot of damage for some of the people here. And then we get a true little 1v1 after both of them have been a little damaged. So it's going to be harder for Toga to pull her vanishing tricks, stuff like that. And instead, it's going to start coming down to their like hand-to-hand combat. And maybe she even loses her knives, and we get like them straight up like boxing for a bit and a bit of arguments because it's not like in a enclosed space. Ochako wasn't able to hang with Toga, right? No,
It's an open area now.
but my point is just that like when it came down to there's nowhere to hide, nowhere to nothing to hide behind. They can probably just box straight up. And I trust Ochako to be able to box with Toga in a straight up fight with them.
She could box with her for sure. They could box, but I don't know. I don't know who would have the upper hand. Did y'all notice on that page of Toga and Ochako kind of got like boosters on her dudes? Have we seen that?
Yeah, back in the past war.
She got them. Yeah, she got them during the war arc specifically because she didn't have them during joint training.
Wait, did she also have those back in the Deep Blue Sky? when she was like showing off her like when we got to see each student's like what they learned during their internship.
No, I think
kinda.
that's when the. I think that's when the. I think that's when the wires got showcased, but I think the boosters came a little later.
Let me see. Actually, I'm curious.
Yeah, double check it for me.
All right, but I just want to say real quick. So back to Dabi Angst. You see how we finally. It's crazy how we finally see Natsuo and Fuyumi's quirks, and yes, they are ice. So the pressure was probably even more on Dabi. Like, yo, I'm the only one that got my dad's quirk. Like before Soda was born, or even when he was born. Like, oh, you just a half to have. He was really NG's Steed. Like, he's the only one that had the fire quirk. I was hoping maybe Fuyumi or Natsuo had like, maybe some hot ice, like some type of malfunction type quirk.
Okay.
Where it's like it's just broken.
Yeah, you do see it in the chapter.
Okay, so yeah.
I'll send you the panel.
Cool. So she's got her little boosty boots.
Yeah.
And it's all for being better at her quirk. I think it's funny that while obviously not to the same scale as Deku, obviously she just like progresses some of her like baseline functions the same way Deku does.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's not gonna get smoke screen 5-min or gear shift replicants, but with the little boosters and her little wires, she's basically got a functional black whip float and smaller scale like force, for Air Force that he uses to fly. You so cute. Why are you so cute, little baby?
No.
That's what you're doing, my sleepy little baby.
It's crazy how Toga with that knife alone can really like box with at least half the verse.
Oh yeah. MHA
Like
scaling
minimum,
is
like,
funny. Like MHA
that,
scaling is fascinating because it's literally like you have true fodder, and then you have
like your Roy.
not as bad fodder, but still pretty fodder. And then like when you look at like who are the top 100 people in Japan, like, and I'm not talking like exclusively heroes here. Like if you go like the top 100 fighters, period, like students, heroes, etc., they almost all gap their predecessor, like the bottom, like the percentile shift is massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like the elite are truly elite.
the elite are like gods
Like,
in this verse. Because there are some characters, bro, that are really like, come on, like yo, y'all, let's keep it a buck. Kendo, come on, she's exactly where she needs to be at. Them big hands, they can do a little something, but she needs to be evacuating civilians. She don't need to be on the front lines at Gunga.
exactly. Whereas Shoto is arriving, going Super Saiyan with his phosphor stuff.
Bro, they and the Ida too running here. They're all around the same age. You got Tetsu and Kendo over here. Like what? Like the only other students we see in this chapter.
Yeah.
Because Ochako is in like, she's in that gray space. She's in limbo because she's not fodder, but there's a lot of people she's not hanging with.
No,
Right.
I won't even classify her as fodder because she's definitely high above a lot of like normal heroes.
No, she's in limbo. You know what I'm saying? Like she almost
I
the
get
top
you.
tier, but she's not like.
Unironically,
I would say she
Captain
broke
that,
out of
like-
limbo. Like
unironically, Ochako just got to get her weight up because like because like think about it, right? Let's say she moves her weight limit up to like 30K pounds, like 15 tons. And then she's fighting some big ass dude. So she just flips like 15 cars in the air and then starts hopping from car to car and then just starts chucking cars at people and then turning their weight off, their anti-grav off while she's throwing the car at the person. All of a sudden, that's a high-speed missile. Like, yeah, it sucks that your car got used for a missile, but like, shit, you live in
my
hero
car.
society.
Nah, that that Comet home run, it's a shame that was
Mhm.
just like a gag.
I mean, to be fair, like if you want to kind of scale her even higher, look at the. I know it's a filler episode, but like her handling that entire plane,
Yo,
like
if we want to
she definitely could do
give her
that.
that feat, if we want to give her that feat, like that she can stop playing,
Mhm.
then I
Listen,
she broke
hands in
out
the hair
limbo.
right now. In the air right now. I could see that being canon. Like this,
Here's my
she is
thing.
possible of doing that.
So the My Hero anime, thankfully, most of the filler episodes don't contradict the story writing. Now, because I've criticized the provisional license episode centered on Momo and them because of how it was written, but only because it contradicted the thematic writing in it, because it had the power of friendship speech in it, where the
Mhm.
first time you're supposed to get that is supposed to be from the villains. But the actual events, like them fighting that academy, them, getting pinned down, none of that is like this stark contradiction with the manga. Like we didn't
Yeah.
even get to see that fight. So that's just added material, added context. For all intents and purposes, we could take that combat as canon, and we can just ignore the power of friendship speech because it doesn't actually matter. Outside of the fact that you could say we cashed in on that with Deku versus Class 1A, sure. Shoto versus the ninjas. We didn't get any of that. They were fodderized by Shoto off screen for what we knew.
That was great filler.
Yeah, it
I'm gonna
was.
keep it a stack. MHA needed more filler like that.
Mhm. And even in the filler that we got, like it already is 19% of them fit with the canon. Like not just the writing, but just the way it felt.
And that's really the main point. Because like think about it, season 2's filler episode is what, Froppy?
Yeah.
And like some
Gohan
insight
there.
into Gran Torino, but like I would even count that as filler.
And we see Selkie actually does eventually get canonized, so that effectively retroactively makes that not a filler episode, instead makes it canon. We know that Froppy, Uraraka, Dragon Lady, etc., were all working together. So all that filler episode really did was give us an example of her working with that team.
Mhm.
So a lot of the like MHA filler, like Thomas, beat me to the point here on, is just it's all stuff that fits the story. It barely counts as filler because it's all functional. And it's kind of like how the movies are always set at these time points where we have short time skips, or the movies themselves are even hinted at, like the Nabu Island stuff
Mhm.
being the project that the principal prepared. It's where, it's there, you have access to it, you don't need to watch it to continue and enjoy the story though. It's designed to be able to be skipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've realized this with MHA, especially with team up missions too. The potential for MHA to be episodic is very high.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
could
yeah, 'cause
just have it. You could just have any situation on TV in a manga, and it'll work 9 times out of 10 if you just loosely explain it.
Because
Loosely.
team up missions and Smash are the only two that are supposed to just be straight up not canon. Because team up missions is supposed to just be like, but what if? And
No, but team up missions really could happen. Like there are certain scenarios in team up missions that could have been arcs.
Hatsume and Melissa.
I mean,
Yeah,
I love that one. And
I straight up see that as canon. Like,
there
especially
was a
with like
really
mid
good
gauntlets.
there was a really good one with where Bakugo, Uraraka,
Deku and
Deku.
Hawk. There was one with Deku and Bakugo and Hawks. That was heat. There
Do you
was
mean
Deku
the
and
one with
There
Mirko?
was
Yeah, I think it was that one
Mirko.
because
it was one with Hawks too.
the gas villain.
Yes, it
and
was Mirko.
basically like Bakugo threw him up into the sky, let him release his gas, and then blew it up so that nobody else would get hurt. So it's like there was some pretty good ways to like deal with like quirk crime and quirk terrorism, and how not everybody is actually like, some people's quirks just don't work that way. Like it builds up and builds up and builds up. and then it causes a problem that they don't even have control over.
Yeah, that was the one that made me, maybe the Meta Human Liberation Front had a kind of a point. It's some of the quirk restrictions, because like that guy was just building up poisonous gas, and he had like no safe way of releasing it, and it just built up so much that it was literally a bomb about to go off.
That was kind of like a preparation for World Tour's mission in a way, because like when you enter that movie, you see all these people's like quirks go bizarre, and then you see gas exploding everywhere off people, and people turn into turtles. And it's like, yeah, the Ujiko had a point. Like, this is a problem.
They said everybody just got a random fucking power and we ignoring it.
Basically.
What? Everybody has a random superpower and we just acting like that's not a thing. You know how mad I would be in MHA society if we was really still out here trying to act normal? We all have powers. Why we just letting these niggas be cool with their costumes and heroic speeches? This man in spandex talking about some I am here. And we all got power. We all got powers. Like, yo, I don't know. Some of the villains got points. Like, yo, like this society kind of whack. That's why Overhaul was like, yo, can we just go back to normal? We might as well.
Sure, maybe he was a dickhead. Maybe he went about it like terribly, but he had a point.
The craziest theory to this day is that Overhaul was in Ujiko's daycare.
Honestly, it did help with the backgrounds.
Because I swear the timeline doesn't add up, but if you look at the panels, it literally looks like he was in the same place.
Okay, I'm gonna link a tweet that I made about a team up mission spoiler. It's probably the single most probably the funniest like thing that I did as just a GIF.
Let me see this. Poor Katsuba.
No, that was an original character in the team up mission chapter.
But it was the Katsuba's gonna be heartbroken.
Yeah, and everything.
I love that.
Ooh, Amajiki is in this one too.
Yeah, it was Deku and Amajiki. They were like pretty much watching Katsuma and Mahoru, and then Katsuma was doing this. It was like a hero fest, it was supposed to be like a play on the jump fest thing that actually happens. And Katsuma was doing this this ninja thing that they had a video of Edshot doing, and it was I don't think the chapter has been officially translated yet, but reading the spoilers, it sounded cute.
To be honest, I'm kind of mad with team up missions because they come out so slowly. Like, I want to buy them. I want to have them on my shelf, but their release is terrible.
It's weird. It's because like the chapters come out monthly, but then they don't get translated until like they have a whole volume done.
So I have to rely on like Rue's like tweets. Like, have to rely on them for it. I'm like, I don't want that. I just want to read them.
Yeah, I would really like them to just come out, like, be translated monthly.
So yeah, let me see something. I love the panel in this chapter with like Endeavor looking at Dabi. Like you can see his like skin is peeling off.
Yeah, when he's just burning alive. It's
Yeah.
just...
God, I love
Ooh,
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just ooh.
It's actually kind of terrifying to see Dabi's heat just overpowering like Endeavor, who is like probably the pinnacle of fire power in the verse in
Yeah.
terms of like the heroes.
I mean, like his quirk is literally called Hell Flame, and he's burning alive.
Mm-hmm. It's scary. Let me see. I actually haven't seen that one, Tanisha. Shonen Bakugo
Oh no,
stuck together.
that was a drama CD.
Oh, it was drama CD. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it came with the My Villain Academia anime set Blu-ray set in Japan.
Hmm. Interesting.
Like a lot of like people were buying the set and like returning the disc.
Oh no.
No, I was seeing a lot of complaints about it, probably because it was like a fan service thing targeting underage kids.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, I think I've heard of that. There was like, was it kind of like they were obsessed or something? Because I heard something similar, where revolved around like Deku or something. Like I've seen that be a drama, drama of the week for the community. About Banana leaving a voicemail message and turning into a whole thing of telephone among class 1A. And I love that.
I really do wish we get more slice of life stuff. I mean, like I know the light novels exist, and I haven't read any of them, and I really want to get the one with the Class B's play. Like, my God, make that an OVA, please.
There was like one of them, I believe was it in School Briefs or was it Team Up Missions? But like it really made me want more slice of life from My Hero. But it was like Monoma like starts to love 1A because like they get concerned about Monoma.
Oh,
And then
no,
he
that was a
figures
team up
out-
mission. They think
Yeah.
he's being abused.
Yes, that's it. I love that. And then at the end, he ends up hating them again.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
Yeah, just Monoma being Monoma, and they think he's given a coded message, like asking for help.
Yeah, it was like each letter. But yeah, I love that. It's just more so because everyone brings up how we should have gotten more slice of life between arcs, which I do agree. Solely because I do enjoy the academia aspect of My Hero. People
Yeah.
hate it. Like people hate final exams. People hate professional license, which I guess like they're not like the best arcs in the series, but they offer something that I actually appreciate. Like when Deku gets his hero license and like he's obsessing over it and he has
Yeah.
to send pictures to All
Yeah,
Might.
yeah,
I
he's
love that.
He's taking like 25 pictures. He's gonna send them all to his
Yes.
mom and all to his all to All Might. It's like
Yes.
it's
It's just cute. Like
Yeah. And like I have
So
I'll
one
go
of
back.
I think one of my controversial takes on people who hate the kids stuff in MHA, it's a lot of people who don't realize how dorky kids can be.
Mhm.
And I would even go as further to say that a lot of the like kids that watch or read MHA think they're a lot cooler than they actually are.
Oh, they're all in.
So what ends up happening is they see stuff like Deku being a dork over his license, and somehow they don't realize that's the same as them obsessing over their driver's license,
Mhm.
or something like that. So you have
Or
like,
them getting excited about like their like the end college and they get their certificate and they're like, oh my god, I actually succeeded here. You're just like Deku. If not
Right.
like more tamer, but even still, like it comes to the point where it's like, do you not understand that this is a child? You're complaining about a child. Like, of course they're gonna be quote unquote childish. They're kids.
And because a lot of stories kind of make kids just like adults with kid bodies because it's easier to just write them, and that's why like they deal with the circumstances and stuff they end up dealing with. But all that aside, it's like the kids in MHA are written to be like children, and that's why one of the most important moments in the series is after Deku vs. Kacchan 2, where All Might is like, you're a child and I haven't actually been treating you like a child.
Yeah, that's a great moment. It's like like sometimes I forget you're just kids or you're still kids.
Because they're like, well, they've been in life-threatening situations. They're clearly adults now. Like, and that's not really how that works, which is why the Aizawa moment is really cool, because it also highlights the difference between him and All Might. And obviously part of it is the byproduct of the trauma that Aizawa suffered during his school years. But that moment at PLW where he's like, you're getting like, I have to see them graduate, he still sees them as children. He perceives, like, even with them being on the battlefield in the midst of the war, at no point does he perceive them as anything other than children. Even when he's talking to Aoyama, he's like, yeah, this stuff's bad, but he doesn't perceive Aoyama as this villain who betrayed them. He still sees him as one of the children in his classroom. And
He even asked how Aoyama was doing.
I think there is a quiet little message in that Eraser being somebody who was like a lower ranking, like street built like hero, versus All Might's larger than life approach, and not only the trauma that came with Aizawa's childhood, obviously, but him being closer to the streets and closer to the community and interacting with people like Koichi, etc., has given him a more grounded perspective on the children and how they need to be treated and how they need to be perceived. Whereas All Might, being larger than life, just sees kids going, and of course it also mirrors the times that they grew up in, with Eraser being about 31, I want to say. So still 20 years past the end of All Might's eras, when he's, really getting his, work done as a hero. But it goes to show that even with Aizawa growing up in that time, but he's able to perceive these children as just children, whereas 15-year-old All Might didn't really have that privilege because he didn't get to see himself as a child really either. Think about it, he got this big buff body, and even though he was quirkless, he was, big nigga Yagi down the block. Like, nobody was going to look at him as just a kid, especially in an environment where people are getting plucked from the streets and killed at the whims of some evil maniacal freak, So it also just kind of goes to show like the framework of their characters and their origins and how intrinsic it is to understanding the decisions they make and perceptions they have.
I mean, I agree with the whole like Aizawa grew up in like a different time period than like Mike, because once he reached like adulthood, he was living in a better time than All Might has been, because like All Might returned back to Japan and everything was getting more safer. So yeah, I agree. I also appreciate how Aizawa is the only, like, if you compare him to like the adults in the anime community, he is more sensible than in the way he approaches these children. Because I still see complaints about Boruto, and although like it is warranted, the way people treat his character is awful, considering they just can't, distinguish this is a child and not a grown man like Naruto was, or currently. I don't know, it's just strange. And also, if you are intentionally treating these kids like they're shit, and you're looking at this manga like it needs to be more serious, it more just shows that you just don't really care about the series, aside from just the raw fights. Because a lot of the emotion from the series stems from the children. it stems from Deku's journey. So yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, we've covered. I think this one, us getting back-to-back short chapters is making this one a little harder to have a longer stream on. But that's okay.
Mhm.
Let's see, yeah, because we've covered all the notes of this chapter and then some. All right, well, let's see. Yep, no surprise visit from Bulk or anything like that. Hour and a half, not bad, not bad. If we get a 17-pager or something with bigger events that we haven't already covered, like next week's chapter is almost guaranteed to be a longer one, just because it's probably gonna either conclude this segment of the story or lead us into a crazy battle.
Mhm.
Something like that, which Ida is without armor, because if you notice, Todoroki on Phosphor has kind of broken every piece of armor he's had.
Yeah, that stuff was flying off.
It was shattering.
So the Phosphor broke through that, which,
Even Shoto's own armor is breaking.
yep. So his gauntlets, his clothes, which I think is kind of cool that all the armors are breaking away, right? Because like I think even Endeavor's stuff has been damaged throughout his fights with All for One, and now this, where everybody's kind of just themselves.
Yeah.
Like you're yourself. Like it's like all you got is the power and the quirk you were born with. And to a certain degree, Shoto has to figure out in this moment now how to truly, completely, and fully own that shit so that he can be competitive with also, yeah, 100% Ida is supposed to be faster than the speed of sound here, because I'm looking at that spread again where you get like the little smoke trail, and then it's like you get him and then his slipstream like collapsing in so that all the water and stuff just randomly like layers up. Cool little details. Horikoshi loves to do that. And we've always called Ida an F-150 with legs, so. All right, so let's go around the horror here. Let's get these final thoughts.
Oh, wait, we just got a super chat.
Let me
Andrew coming through.
I wonder how many of the Hori can't write people are going to change the tune when Hori concludes the Todoroki plot, and how much traction that tweet got. You know what? I don't know what tweet you're referring to.
I don't
Be
either.
glad. Be glad.
And yeah, I'm going to say I'm glad I don't, because it's probably somebody who had some form of agenda that isn't going to come true. And now they're upset and just saying that he can't write, but it's just not what they wanted to see, or
Mhm.
like it's just not what they want. They, people always want to have this whole, this ship isn't going how I want it. This isn't going how I want it. I thought it was, and like there's things that you could look at and be like, nah, this isn't good. Well, actually, there's nothing in My Hero that I've read that I feel like this is straight up bad. There's stuff that I've been like, damn, this could be improved on, but I've never read a chapter I've been like, this is straight up bad, except what I said, Bakugo's death would have been executed very badly if he died there.
Mhm.
So I guess that's the only time I've ever been like, damn, I think this is kind of bad. And and interestingly enough, the one thing that I was like, no, this is bad, got rectified, and people having it changed made people think it was bad. So
Was that
Which plotline?
the Bakugo thing?
yeah, because I still like to this day, I insist that shit would have been ass. And I nobody has managed to actually sell me on Bakugo dying actually being a good narrative thing.
Yeah,
They just been able to be like, it would have been cool, it would have been stakes, it would have been, but like, explain why it's good to have Bakugo's character die like that right there. And
Because
never
every
happens.
other series has characters die, and I think My Hero needs Bakugo to die, because it isn't as raw and edgy as I want it to be.
yeah. A lot of people seem to conflate stakes with character death, and they're two different things. Like character death can raise stakes, but they're not the same thing. Like, I mean, I was kind of apprehensive about the whole Edge shot sewing the heart thing until like maybe like 2 chapters later, where even him just attempting that pissed off Shigaraki so much that it caused him to break free from All for One's control. And it's like, okay, I get this now, and I'm just ready to see what happens.
everything surrounding that debt, like aside from him just biting the dust, I love the chapter where he just, he's thinking about Deku and he sees All Might, and then that version of All Might in his head. And just the dialogue, it just was really, really good. And even if like Bakugo didn't need to die, it still was a great chapter to me.
Oh,
It's just I feel like if Bakugo was just incapacitated, I feel like that'd be a lot better or a lot more stomachable.
There was a time maybe like a month or two ago where people were like saying they were cleaning up the panel where they cleaning up the blood, which by the way, that panel without the blood looks so much more creepier. And like it's like, oh, he's just sleeping. There's like the doing means that like he's Bakugo's just asleep or he's having a spa day. Like they
and he had,
they added
just
like a face
jam.
mask and the cucumbers over the eyes. And but just looking at that panel, like without the blood, like with the blood removed, it looks so much creepier.
Mm-hmm. There's like one meme where it's like he just fell asleep after eating, peanut butter and jam sandwiches. He's fine. Yeah, I do agree. There's like a lot in My Hero that I didn't like, but it's not something that would outright make me feel like, oh, MHA is just bad. Like I wasn't a fan of how Mina's and Midnight's plotline was handled, or the quirk discrimination with the mutants, but at the same time I didn't see it as this huge this like end of the series, like, oh my god, My Hero fell off, Black Clover is better, Naruto would never do this type situation. My Hero's never gone to that point, at least to me.
The arcs I like, my lowest ranking is least good. Like there's not a single arc I would say is a bad arc. There's just the least good is like it's good, but it's still not as good as everything else that's come before it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
I agree.
So yeah, I don't know, which is funny because one of my longest running friends called me the other day, and we had a conversation. Which now that I think about it, when I say longest running friends, we've known each other since we were 13, and I'm 30, so.
I would say that's very long.
Yeah. We had a conversation about like a quick one where he mentioned Black Clover, and I think he was like, oh, it wasn't actually Patri, it was the devil. And I was almost like, yeah, I hated that twist. But I was like, he's enjoying it, so let me not say anything about it.
I hate that twist too. I defend Black Clover, but I fucking despised that.
So yeah, but I don't even want to think about that right now. Let me
and that's for the high notes.
Yeah, because I actually like some of the stuff that's happened recently in Black Clover, so I want to think about that.
Did you see the latest chapter?
I have actually. Oh yeah, the Leviathan thing.
Yeah.
So that I think is a good change.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody saying that they think Leo's gonna go in a similar direction, and I'm here for that.
Who?
Yeah, I get you.
It's crazy how, like, without spoiling, this is exactly like if Shosho was built up to be the next, like, he's the hero of the family, and then Natsuo comes out of nowhere and he's the hero of the family, and then we don't see Shoto for like the entire series.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because like I beat Final Fantasy V for the first time yesterday, and I got the summon Leviathan, and hey, so does she.
All comes together.
Also, I'm gonna say that actually, you know what? I'm gonna keep that to myself. Let's just move forward. Let's go around the horn. Final thoughts. Let me get some from you, Joseph.
All right. This was a good if short chapter. Like the art is impeccable, especially as Tarnish said, the panel where like and the skin is just burning and peeling off of his face. So yeah, good chapter. I kind of get the feeling that the past two were supposed to be one chapter, but then they just got split at some point, probably to make 390 the culmination. But I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Let's go with Thomas.
I think the chapter is great. Even if it's short, like it did everything I wanted it to do. And I do agree with Joseph. I feel like this chapter was short for a reason. And I mentioned it on the stream when I joined that it could be because Hori, this is like part 2 of last chapter. And also with like 90 around the corner, I assume he's gonna make that like the 17-page or the 16-page long chapter where Shoto arrives and they have like Shoto arrives to like calm down the explosion to like an extent. I still think Dabi's going to explode, but I do believe that Shoto will prevent Nato and Fumi's deaths alongside hurting everyone 5 kilometers away, because Toga and Uraraka are still like in danger. Like they could get hurt. I don't think they'll die, but I do think they will get damaged, or at least the twice scores will all go poof. I think the week for Jump has been fantastic. Although even if this is like what 11 pages long, 12 pages long, it's a lot better than JJK, but that's another topic for another conversation for another day. I'm excited to see what next chapter brings us, if we're on a break or not. I think we're gonna get a new chapter. There's not really anything
Expect
dropping.
the break.
Expect the break.
I ain't gonna lie.
There's no scheduled break. Let's put it that way.
For sure. Regardless, I'm excited because like I will say the final page, like the double spread with Shoto, where it was like we've got 5 winners on our side. That didn't really add to the rawness of that page. So I want next chapter to show Shoto being cool, because he is. He's a really awesome character, and I feel like he's getting a lot of slander the past few weeks. So let's change that, Hori. So yeah, great chapter. That's all I want to say. Like the stream, make sure you stay safe, drink water, eat food, and I'm out.
Tarnish.
This chapter was good, man. It was good. The thing about it is that piece of introspection for Dabi was crazy. Where he's like, "Yo, you should have just seen me sooner." Like this whole explosion thing with Dabi has been like kind of crazy from the beginning, because we saw him copy Phosphor, but like we didn't really know what he was cooking with that. So it's crazy how when Shoto and Dabi fought, there really was like a little period where people thought like Dabi was finished and that was all he was gonna get. So seeing how far he's come since that moment of people thinking it was over for him, like this is all ramped up completely. Like this man's turned into a living nuke. So just that alone is crazy. And the nuke being the thing that gets the whole family together so that they could be a part of this conflict is also really good. Finally get to see their quirks and them like be a part of it instead of just being in the background. Because I don't think it's just about Endeavor to Dabi. Like it's not just like, because he said everyone's watching me, right? He didn't say dad's watching me. Like his mom is there, his sister's there, his brother's there. Because during the hospital chapters, they made a point to say like, you know, we all played a part in him becoming Dabi. Some people didn't like it. Some people didn't think it was really like, you know, it was really necessary. But Natsuo was like, oh, I could have talked to him more. Fuyumi said, I just acted like everything was okay, knowing that it wasn't. And then Ray was being very passive. So to see them go out of their way to involve themselves in this, that definitely added a lot to his introspection as well, talking about everyone's watching me. It's not just about Endeavor. So
I think you bring up an interesting point here, which is that a lot of people who didn't like that, one, it's obvious they've never been in a like family that has had like this environment where people especially if you're one of the children who's on the receiving end of a lot of abuse and you get to see some of your siblings get treated better and they don't acknowledge the difference at all, that does irk you more. It will make you unhappy to be in that environment. And I think that while it's true that like children are capable of like blaming children for trauma and abuse isn't fair, but the reality of the situation is that if you're in the situation like Dabi was in, and we're in the situation that Natsuo and Fuyumi were in, even if you are not doing these things in malice, it does impact that abuse victim or that neglect victim. Like there's just no kind of getting around it. It doesn't matter if you intend it to be harmful or not. The actions are still in the long term harmful. Yes, it shouldn't matter as much if your dad is just better at being a dad, but those actions are still a contributor to the trauma that Toya experienced. And there's something good about saying like, yeah, it wasn't my responsibility, but due to my actions, it's part of my problem. Nobody's saying they're as culpable as Endeavor for Toya feeling the way he is, but what the family has realized is that there were ways in which they possibly could have helped that they didn't take back then, that maybe even with Endeavor being who he is and being the parent that he was, they could have gotten past that, or at least helped him stay in a healthier state and maybe get to move past that now. Like, for example, maybe not so, the way he looks at it is, if I had talked to him more, maybe he just would have ended up angry like me, where he doesn't want to talk to dad or interact with him, but he doesn't, go out and catch bodies. Like, I think that's a fair thing for somebody to be like, damn, I was in close proximity to that person. Is there something I could have done that would have stopped that? Like, it's not like people who are like friends with a guy and then that guy goes off and, goes full American in a coffee store or a coffee shop or something like that, doesn't think, damn, like, first off, I'm glad that didn't happen to me, but is there a conversation I could have had with that guy? Like, like I remember, or even when people, as the kids say on TikTok, unalive themselves. I remember there was this guy that he was a huge Power Rangers fan and all this other stuff. And we talked and we were always like, oh yeah, we should hang out sometime, but we just didn't get around to it. And then I remember he posted a thing on Facebook that was kind of like, I'm not going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. And that was the end. He was just like, I won't see you guys anymore, but it's whatever. And boom, he was gone. And I definitely had that, damn, if I had actually, like, maybe if we had gotten around to hanging out, like we talked about a couple times, maybe things could have gone a little differently. Sometimes you have to have that talk with yourself, because sometimes you really could have made a difference, and you'll never know once it's too late whether that was the case or not. So it's a very real thing that people go through when they have those experiences. And I think it's weirder that people don't want that kind of information or that kind of experience conveyed. But yeah,
it hits different when you're on like the neutral or good side of a situation and you're still able to just be like, yo, I could have done more. Especially with the way Toya was going to that mountain by himself. Somebody could have went with him, like watched him. His mom, his brother, his sister. The fucking Endeavor said that he hired help. Where was that person at when he was going to the mountain? Like, there was just a lot of things that made his situation a lot harder than it needed to be. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really happy for the 390. Like, every 100 chapter, the 190 he pulled up Pro Hero, the Dabi reveal, and now possibly him saying adios.
My thing is that this next chapter, I fully expect it to be a chapter where we bridge that Toya to Dabi gap. Because we've got the conversion internally here, and maybe we get like a big attack or Shoto tries to put him down, and then 291, 292 is kind of like some making peace with it stuff, because Dabi's dance happened, and then there's like a little bit extra before it kind of fizzles out. But well, and so, which I do want to point something out, Alves, which is, yes, it's true they didn't want him training fire, but the fact that they knew he was going to do it anyway means that they could have at the very least, given him a cold room, done something to help him cool down as soon as possible, just something like, and just kind of like talk him through like each time, like, you don't have to do this. Let's figure out ways to use fire that's less hot, because even that might have helped him. It just being like, okay, you can have, just because you have these high power flames doesn't mean you have to use them to the maximum firepower.
Teach him how to turn down the heat. It's like that was the
Bro,
whole problem.
Bro, Natsuo has an ice coin. We see it this chapter. Like, imagine if he went with him to the peak and just cooled him down occasionally. Like, yo, big bro, chill. Like, you're going too hard.
Yeah,
You know,
Natsuo
just
Fumi could have helped him throughout those years.
So
even if he shouldn't have been doing that, it's just them being his younger siblings, being also, let me help you out, big bro. Like, you got this thing going on with you and dad, but I'm
Sure.
here. It's just something. You know what I'm saying?
So it's tragic because there's steps they could have taken that they had the power to take. They just didn't realize that that's what they needed to do. So, it kind of just is what it is in that situation. It's an unfortunate turn of events, and that's all you can really say about it. That's just the way life works sometimes. But yeah, on that very somber note, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's the end of the stream. Thank you guys, Tarnish, Thomas, and Joseph, for coming through, and everybody who came through in the chat. Hope you guys enjoyed the MHA chapter this week. And shout out